Hello students, once again I welcome you all to our online classes, and today you are going to learn Nizam Ezekiel's poem, Very Indian Poem in Indian English. So I hope you still remember, because we have discussed in detail about several poets when we were talking about the brief history of Indian writing in English with special reference to English poetry. And here we have a poet named Nizam Ezekiel, who was born on 16th of December 1924 and died on 9th of January 2004. He is an Indian Jewish poet, actor, playwright, editor, and an art critic. His literary stature is very high as far as Indian writing in English is concerned. He is a foundational figure in post-colonial India's literary history, more specifically in Indian English poetry. Since his contributions are widely acceptable all over the world, and he was recognized by Sahitya Akademi of India, and he was awarded the Sahitya Akademi Award in 1983. If you get into the literary creed of Nizam Ezekiel, you will find that he is very subtle, restrained, and very well crafted as far as his diction and poetry is concerned. He mainly deals with the very common, mundane themes and tries to manifest the cognitive profundity and the unsentimental, realistic sensibility of a common man. He is highly enriched with his variety of themes and established Indian English language poetry through his own efforts, but with a modern, innovative techniques that he invented in the course of time. If you see the Indian writing in English as a whole, you will find that Nizam Ezekiel has enlarged the boundaries of Indians writing in English, more particularly the poetry section. He tries to move beyond the spiritual and oriental themes which were exploited by various Indian writers belonging to the pre-independence era. If you see his literary contributions, actually there is a huge list of his contributions. But to name a few in this introduction, it gives me immense pleasure to talk about a selected one. Time to Change, 1952, 60 Poems, 1953, The Discovery of India, 1956, The Third, 1959, The Unfinished Man, 1960, The Exact Man, 1965, Hymns in Darkness, 1976, Latter Day Palms, 1982, Collected Poems from 1952 to 1988, published in 1989. There are a couple of plays also which are going to his credit. The 3 plays published in 1969, Do Not Call It Suicide, published in 1993. There are a few prose also that he has written. In 1992, he published the Selected Prose and also contributed an essay titled as Naipaul's India and Mine. So here, I would like to make a special mention of some of the poems that he has written and which are very famous worldwide, I would say. Some of the poems are The Couple, Enterprise, A Time to Change, Philosophy, Island, For Elkanah, The Professor, Soap, Marriage, In the Country Court, The Paradise Flycatcher, Night of the Scorpion, Goodbye Party for Miss Pushpa T.S., Entertainment, Background Casually, and Poet, Lover, and Bird Watcher. So these are some of the poems that I mentioned over here, but he has written a few more as well. So friends, now I would like to introduce you with the artistic craft of Nizam Ezekiel. Now you have seen Nizam Ezekiel as a poet, his contribution, moreover, his versatile contribution. But now I'll try to limit myself, Nizam Ezekiel as a poet, quite confined to the present poem that we are going to learn. As you know very well, that English in India is considered to be a kind of style segment. It is also considered as a language for prestige. And many people are fond of speaking English. But if you minutely observe, one more thing you will be able to notice, and that is the variety of English used by the Indian people. It itself is a kind of typical Indian English. And Nizam Ezekiel, as a poet, observed this fact as well and got an idea, got a fancy that he should compose some poems on this concept. And the present poem is mainly talking about the Indian Pidgin English. So we can say Nizam Ezekiel creates an authentic flavor of India by his use of Indian English, which is also called Babu English or Pidgin English, and some critics also call it Bazaar English. So he is trying to make the situation known to every reader of his poetry and passing his own observations and comments about the kind of variety of English being used by educated Indian people. If you see here, you will realize that he tried to create a certain impression by stressing the various mistakes which are committed by the Indian people while using English for communicative purpose. He is also trying to bring out the hopes and aspirations of the free country, because Nizam Ezekiel mainly belongs to the post-independent era of Indian writing in English. And after getting freedom, after getting independence from the clutches of the British, the newly coming up group of writers and the newly coming up middle class was highly aspired and having a lot of positivism for the future. And of course, as a style segment, they were using English for communication purpose and committing several mistakes in the course of using English. The attitude of our country, that is India, was also going through a bad phase in the beginning, because immediately after the freedom, we had to have a war with, or we were forced by Pakistan with a war. Later in 1962, there was another war with China. And here the poet also talks about our neighbors and their hostility as such. So let us talk about now the poetic background for this poem. As I said just before, that Nizam Ezekiel is trying to focus on the kind of English language used by the educated Indian people, but most of the people were doing a kind of post-mortem of the language. It will not be that suitable here to say that the people were doing a post-mortem of the language. But here, the Indian people started using to their own convenience. Whichever is the real English standard was kept aside, and they were simply relying on their own mother tongue or regional tongue and trying to translate from their regional tongue to English language. And whatever syntax that they have learned from their own mother tongue was reflected in English, and that was how this English was called Pidgin English or Bazaar English. Now, let us talk about the poetic background that our present poem has. Actually, what happened, as Nizam Ezekiel was a professor of English working in Mithibai College, Mumbai, and while working over there, he happened to come across a friend, and his friend interacted with Nizam Ezekiel and told him about the kind of English that the people use around him. Of course, being the professor of English, Nizam Ezekiel also knew the fact. And while going to Mithibai College every day by train, Nizam Ezekiel also observed the same. Then what happened in the course of time? Nizam Ezekiel got an idea, got a fancy that why not to use this as a material or a source for writing poem. And that was how Nizam Ezekiel decided that he will compose a couple of poems on the concept of Pidgin English or Babu English, which is generally used by the people around him. Then Nizam Ezekiel started an activity. He always carried a small notepad or a notebook with him, especially while traveling. And he used to be very keen and minute while listening to the people around him during the journey. And whatever terms, whatever words, whatever proverbs, as the people were using in Pidgin English, he used to note down. And after a few days, he had a very good collection with him. And ultimately, he started composing a couple of poems reflecting this sense of using English. So this is the actual background to the present poem. Now, I would like to talk on the structure of the poem. If you see this poem in the structural point of view, you will realize that Nizam Ezekiel is very straightforward while expressing his own ideas. Whatever observations he has made, whatever minute details that he had in his primary sources, he is trying to exploit them all, no doubt. But in the structural point of view, this poem can be divided into few segments, what I personally feel. The first part of the poem talks about the Indian living conditions and Indian attitude towards life. That is one thing. Similarly, the poet is also trying to make a contradiction between the Oriental ideology and Western ideology. Then the poet is trying to focus on the ancient Indian wisdom, and he is very optimistic that India can be the guru for the entire world, having an expectation in mind that one day the Ramarajya will come and it will be a reality tomorrow. Secondly, the poet is trying to focus on the international situations, how different countries are running after the competition for weapon, and how this international peace is maintained with a threat of war. In the subsequent section, the poet talks about unity in diversity, which is the peculiar quality of India as a country. And in the course of the entire poem, you will realize that the poet is mainly focusing on the common mistakes committed by the Indian people while using English for communicative purposes. So, the poet is trying to highlight the common mistakes done by the Indian people, and that is the actual motto or the motif of writing this poem also. The poet is trying to highlight the use of English by an Indian in the typical Indian ways. So if you see the very first line itself, the poet started expressing in the present continuous tense. I am standing for peace and non-violence. I am standing. In fact, the same thing you can say that as far as the philosophy of peace and non-violence, which is introduced by Mahatma Gautam Buddha, Jesus Christ, Mohandas Karamchand Gandhi, Mahavir, and all. So he also has the similar principles in life and he stands by. But on the other hand, the speaker or the narrator of the poem expresses this idea in present continuous tense. And here the poet says, or the narrator says, I am standing for peace and non-violence. So this is a typical Indian expression. If at all, a native speaker of English listens to such kind of statement, sometimes he will have a doubt whether the person does not know the use of tenses in English or else intentionally using it in the progressive form. And in India, I too have seen a number of people unnecessarily using the progressive form while expressing their ideas. So one thing is very clear here, that the poet has put in the effort to highlight the expressions, the words, the syntax typically used by the Indian people, and that English is called Pidgin English or Babu English or Bazaar English. Let us see now in the second line also. As I said in the first one, I am standing for peace and non-violence. Why world is fighting? See, it is very funny to say the same word repeatedly the poet has mentioned here for twice. Fighting. You know, there are a few people, those who pronounce one particular word for a couple of times unnecessarily. Actually, this is not acceptable to the standard English language. Still the people use. If you go ahead in the subsequent expression also, It is in the line number 5. The line number 4 and 5 both, you will find that are not following Mahatma Gandhi. I am simply not understanding. See, I am simply not understanding. This is the typical feature of an Indian using English. Many people I too heard unnecessarily, they keep on making the progressive sentences over there, whereas you can express the same thing in simple present also. So here the poet is trying to highlight this aspect. Again, you see that ancient Indian wisdom is 100% correct, but he should say that it is 200% correct. Actually, there is nothing like something called 200%. 100% itself shows the complete number. There is nothing beyond that. There is nothing beyond that. Still, the people are very fond of using it for their different kinds of expressions. I think due to time constraint, probably I'll get disconnected very shortly, but I will try to continue with my presentation here. I'll just highlight a few more aspects, which are the examples of the typical Indian English. Similarly, you go beyond and see there now the last but one line. But modern generation is neglecting. Again, the modern generation neglects. This also is sufficient over there. But the narrator says, or the poet mentions, that the modern generation is neglecting. So unnecessarily, this continuous form or the progress form has been used here. Too much going for fashion and foreign things. Too much going for fashion. So here, going is again the progressive form or the continuous form. Similarly, in the entire poem, you will find that the poet has been constantly giving you the examples which are the typical features of Indian English. Again, on the next slide, you can see there. Other day, I am reading in newspaper. I read in newspaper some other day. Already the action has been completed in the past. So it should be expressed in the simple past. Instead, the narrator is saying, other day, I am reading in the newspaper. And again, he says it is provided in the bracket. Every day, I am reading Times of India. So is it the correct expression? No. You should say, every day, I read Times of India. Means it's my regular habit. I am the subscriber of the newspaper. Every day it is available for me for reading purpose, and I do read it carefully every day. But instead of saying it in the simple present, the narrator or the poet has mentioned it in present continuous tense, means progressive form, which is a typical feature of Indian English. Similarly, you continue to see in the entire poem, one more expression is there. Must be students' unrest. I am thinking. You should say, I think. But he says, I am thinking. In the subsequent line, friends, Romans, countrymen, I am saying, I say. Instead of saying, I say, he says, I am saying. So you will find that this poem is full of typical Indian expressions, and that is giving you, or these expressions are giving you the sense that it is not the genuine English, it is not the real standard of English, but it is somehow corrupted by the Indian people, maybe because of ignorance, maybe because of the habits that they have developed in their regional languages, and they are trying to repeat the same as far as usage of English is concerned. So maybe in the next class, I will try to critically appreciate the entire poem, and hope that you will also learn a few more things, and hope that you will never repeat such kind of mistakes which are highlighted by the poet, that is Nasim Ezekiel, in this particular poem.